My name is Alex Thorne, and I still can't believe my entire college fund vanished into my sister's wedding. It was a lavish affair, a fairy tale spread across glossy magazine pages, while I was meticulously calculating tuition costs, praying for scholarships. My mother had called me, her voice dripping with maternal concern, just after I got my acceptance letter to the state university. "Alex, sweetie," she'd begun. "Your sister Sophia is getting married. It's going to be the most beautiful day. But weddings are just so expensive. We might need a little help with, well, everything." I was 18, naive, and still believed in the idea of family first. I pictured my bright future, the diploma on my wall, and a silent promise to myself that one day I'd make them proud. Instead, it seems I just made Sophia's dreams come true. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The Thorne name had always been associated with a certain kind of comfortable, albeit strained elegance in our quiet suburban town. My father, Arthur Thorne, was a mid-level executive at a long-established financial firm, providing a stable, but often emotionally distant presence. He delegated all domestic matters, particularly anything involving sentiment or emotion, to my mother, Eleanor, whose approval I desperately sought, but rarely received. Growing up as the older of two children, I learned early that performance was the unspoken currency of love in the Thorne household. Straight A's, science fair victories, academic scholarships, these were my attempts to earn that elusive maternal validation. I put myself through university with a mosaic of scholarships, student loans, and grueling part-time jobs. I worked nights, at a local diner, bussing tables and washing dishes, then spent my mornings in lectures, fueled by cheap coffee and an unyielding determination. While I navigated the labyrinth of academic and financial struggle, my sister Sophia followed a much smoother, if more erratic path. 2 years younger, Sophia was the undeniable family favorite, a dazzling whirlwind of charisma and effortless charm. She floated through school with minimal effort, her social life thriving while her grades merely hovered at acceptable. Her natural magnetism seemed to blind our parents to her more capricious tendencies, and any minor whim was treated as an urgent necessity. I still remember my first taste of financial exclusion, long before the college fund debacle. It was my 16th birthday. I had wanted a new, more powerful laptop for my advanced science projects. Instead, my parents presented me with a modest gift card to a bookstore. The same week, Sophia, having expressed a sudden desire for a designer handbag, received it without question, its price tag easily 4 times that of my gift card. That pattern continued throughout my life. My achievements overlooked, my needs minimized, while Sophia's desires, no matter how extravagant, were indulged with little hesitation. Yet I persisted in seeking their approval, building my academic, and later, my professional life in a quiet, diligent manner. The college fund incident began subtly, almost innocently, during my final year of high school. I had just received my acceptance letter to a prestigious state university, a feat I was immensely proud of, especially given my scholarship achievements. That same week, Sophia, after a whirlwind romance, announced her engagement. The engagement itself was a surprise, but the speed with which wedding plans accelerated was breathtaking. My mother called, her voice unusually solicitous. "Alex, sweetie," she began, her tone gentle, almost conspiratorial. "Your sister Sophia is getting married. It's going to be the most beautiful day, but weddings are just so expensive, you know. Your father and I were discussing her college fund. It's a good amount, but nowhere near enough for the wedding she envisions. And of course, your education is so important, but scholarships are amazing, aren't they?" Something in her voice, that subtle inflection of expectation, made my stomach clench. "Mom, what about my college fund?" I asked, my voice betraying a hint of unease. "Well, darling," she said, her tone suddenly bright and dismissive. "We've decided it's best to pool resources. Sophia needs this fairy tale, and you're so smart you'll figure it out. You always do." The words hit me like a physical blow. The money, carefully saved over years for my future, was being repurposed for Sophia's grand day. It was a declaration, a destiny predetermined before I could even voice my own protest. It was a sacrifice demanded, not offered, and one I felt powerless to refuse. I spent weeks helping with arrangements, calling vendors, planning details, all while grappling with the crushing weight of the decision. I thought we were building something special together, a family memory. But the unspoken truth was that I was sacrificing my own future to fund someone else's dream. Then, just 2 weeks before I was due to start university, I received a text from my mother that still makes my stomach drop. "Darling, the wedding expenses ran a little high. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Figure it out." In that moment, staring at my phone, something inside me finally broke. But also, strangely, something else awakened. If my family thought they could use me financially while dismissing my future so casually, they were about to learn a very expensive lesson about priorities. The sting of that text, the casual dismissal of my future for Sophia's extravagant wedding, became the crucible for my ambition. I didn't just figure it out. I decided to forge my own path, a path so distinct from the comfortable, artistic world of the Thornes that it would be undeniable. My early days of working through university were a grueling testament to that decision. I landed a variety of odd jobs, from tutoring late into the night to working early mornings in a bustling cafe, all while maintaining a full course load. I was driven by a quiet, simmering resolve to prove that my worth wasn't tied to a bank account or a family's approval. I learned to live frugally, to maximize every minute, and to find satisfaction in the small victories of self-sufficiency. Meanwhile, Sophia's wedding was indeed a fairy tale. The pictures, widely shared across family social media, showed a dazzling event: Sophia in a designer gown, a multi-tiered cake, and decorations that could rival a royal affair. My parents beamed in every photo, seemingly oblivious to the invisible cost. I saw snippets of it through my friends' phone screens, never checking it myself. It was too painful, a constant reminder of what I had lost and what I was fighting for. Sophia, basking in the glow of newlywed bliss, would occasionally call with cheerful updates about her honeymoon or her new home, never once asking about my university progress or how I was managing financially. She was living her life, and I, in my own quiet way, was building mine, brick by painstaking brick, in the shadows of the conventional world. It was during my second year of university, burdened by mounting student loan debt, that I discovered the true extent of my family's financial habits. My father, Arthur, suffered a minor health scare that prompted a review of his personal finances. What I discovered, tucked away in dusty files and vague account statements, was a series of significant loans to Sophia over the years, for car repairs, for expensive vacations, for investments in dubious entrepreneurial ventures that never materialized. These were not the modest allowances one might expect. They were substantial sums that, combined, far outstripped the value of my original college fund. The realization hit me hard. It wasn't just my college fund, but a pattern of financial favoritism that had quietly shaped our family's dynamic for years. My father, ever the delegator, simply signed off on whatever my mother and Sophia requested, preferring not to engage with the messy details of money. My mother, with her soft voice and firm grip on the family purse strings, always ensured Sophia was taken care of. The financial strain intensified as I pursued my degree in software engineering and data analytics. I chose this path not just out of passion for technology, but out of a calculated determination to enter a high-demand field, one where hard work translated directly into financial independence. I spent countless hours in the computer lab, debugging, code, and mastering complex algorithms. My professors, particularly Dr. Anya Sharma, quickly noticed my dedication. "Alex," she'd often say, her eyes twinkling behind her glasses, "you have a tenacity I rarely see. That's a powerful tool, not just in programming, but in life." Dr. Sharma became my unofficial mentor, pushing me to take on challenging projects and connecting me with industry leaders. She was the first person outside of my small circle of friends who genuinely saw my potential, validating my efforts in a way my family never had. 6 months before my graduation, I saw a significant opportunity. A growing demand for personalized, AI-driven marketing solutions was emerging, but most companies lacked the technical expertise to implement them effectively. I prepared a detailed proposal for a startup, Insightful AI, that would specialize in creating bespoke AI models for targeted digital advertising, complete with revenue projections, technological infrastructure, and a lean operational model. My pitches to angel investors were met with skepticism. "AI is a buzzword, Mr. Thorne," one investor scoffed. "And who are you? A fresh graduate with no capital? Stick to the conventional path." I should have given up. Instead, I replied, "The conventional path is why your marketing budgets are bloated and your conversion rates are stagnant. I'm offering precision." The arguments were exhausting. Some investors were convinced, others dismissive. But I persevered, refining my pitch, building a rudimentary prototype in my dorm room, and leveraging every connection Dr. Sharma had provided. To everyone's surprise, I secured a small seed investment from a group of forward-thinking tech entrepreneurs who saw the vision. "When this fails, we'll go back to conventional advertising," one of them, a blunt but brilliant woman named Ms. Hayes, told me, her parting words ringing in my ears. It didn't fail. Insightful AI, starting from a cramped co-working space, quickly found its niche, delivering unparalleled ROI for our early clients. It was a small victory, but it earned me crucial capital and the initial credibility Insightful AI needed to truly take flight. Over the next year, I gradually implemented changes within my operation, meticulous about every line of code, every marketing campaign. Our algorithms improved, client satisfaction soared, and my reputation grew. Other smaller startups began consulting me privately, implementing similar AI-driven strategies in their own ventures. My family, particularly Sophia, continued to have no idea about the scale of what I was building. They just saw me as the nerdy one who worked odd hours, still occasionally asking if I would ever consider a real job like working for a bank. 5 years passed in a blur of 18-hour workdays, lines of code, and relentless expansion. Under my operational leadership, Insightful AI transformed from a small, experimental startup into a cutting-edge industry leader, a critical player in the burgeoning field of personalized digital marketing. Our valuation soared from a humble few million to over $250 million, making us one of the fastest-growing tech companies in our sector. I had retained Ms. Hayes, my initial investor, as a key board member, and she helped me navigate the complex world of scaling a tech company, offering shrewd advice and strategic insights. I expanded Insightful AI's client base beyond small startups, attracting major e-commerce giants and even a few Fortune 500 companies, creating a technological advantage no competitor could match. Our growth strategy proceeded along multiple fronts. We established our first major data centers in key tech hubs across the country, giving us access to vast new markets for targeted advertising. Our R&D department, revitalized with top-tier talent and substantial resources, developed proprietary machine learning models and predictive analytics tools that revolutionized our clients' marketing efficiency and profitability. We acquired 3 struggling data analytics firms, integrating their client bases and salvaging their best assets while discarding outdated systems. I implemented cutting-edge cloud infrastructure and cybersecurity protocols that reduced operational waste by 40% and increased data processing capacity by 65%. Meanwhile, Insightful AI flourished, a testament to my tireless dedication and the sacrifices I had made. My personal life, predictably, took a back seat to the relentless demands of building this company. My friendship with Dr. Sharma blossomed into a deeper connection, and we married in a small, private ceremony that my family barely attended, thinking it was just a casual affair, me being too busy with work. A year later, our son, Leo, was born. My time at home became precious and rare, a fact that caused increasing friction in my marriage. "You're building an empire for a family you never see," Anya observed one night after I missed Leo's bedtime story for the third consecutive evening. She was right. But I was caught in the momentum of creation. Insightful AI had become the company I had envisioned in university, and I couldn't step back now. Not when we were achieving everything I had dreamed of, proving everyone wrong at Indai. Work, subtle shifts in the power dynamic began to emerge. Industry publications featured me in articles about innovative leadership, even if they couldn't quite grasp the sheer scale of my journey. Employees loyal to older, less efficient methods retired or transferred to less critical roles, replaced by a new generation of driven individuals who thrived in our fast-paced, data-driven environment. My parents, still believing I was doing well in tech, would occasionally mention how much more settled my life seemed compared to Sophia's, often with a subtle hint of disapproval. They had no idea I was running a multi-million-dollar operation that soon would be approaching the $500 million valuation mark. Then came the unexpected development regarding Sophia. After her lavish wedding, her life had been a series of fleeting enthusiasms and rapidly deflating ventures. Her husband, an ambitious but ultimately reckless entrepreneur, had several failed business attempts, draining their finances. Sophia, accustomed to a certain lifestyle, found herself in a precarious position. She tried her hand at various passion projects, an online boutique, a wellness blog, even a short-lived career as a lifestyle coach, but none gained significant traction. Each failure seemed to chip away at her once unshakable confidence, and she found herself reliant on increasingly desperate pleas to our parents for financial support. My parents, their own savings strained from years of indulging Sophia's whims, were finally starting to push back. One evening, my mother called, her voice tight with thinly veiled exasperation. "Alex, dear, Sophia is, well, she's looking for a more stable opportunity. She's been asking about, your company. She thinks it sounds modern and exciting. I told her you might have an opening." My heart rate spiked. This was it. The moment I had simultaneously dreaded and, in some perverse way, anticipated. Sophia, the sister whose wedding had devoured my college fund, was now looking to apply to work for me. The irony was a bitter, potent taste in my mouth. I simply nodded, trying to keep my expression neutral, a complex mixture of vindication and apprehension churning within me. The secret I had guarded so carefully for 5 years was about to be put to the ultimate test. The email landed in my inbox like a perfectly aimed dart. Subject: Application for Marketing Coordinator, Sophia Thorne. It was a standard resume and cover letter, flawlessly formatted, highlighting her extensive experience in brand development and creative content creation from her various short-lived ventures. I stared at the screen, a strange mix of disbelief and vindication swirling within me. This was it. After all these years, the sister who had unknowingly been the catalyst for my relentless drive was now seeking a position within the empire I had built. I forwarded her application to Sarah Chen, our head of HR, with a terse note. "Please process this as you would any other applicant. No special treatment. Let me know when you schedule her for an interview." Sarah, a sharp professional who knew how fiercely I guarded the company's meritocracy, understood the unspoken instruction. I watched, a silent observer, as Sophia navigated the standard application process. She came in for initial interviews, then a second round, I purposefully kept my distance, treating her like any other candidate, perhaps even slightly more formally. Any perceived favoritism would not only create resentment among my staff, but also undermine the very principles of fairness I had instilled in Insightful AI. Meanwhile, Insightful AI continued its meteoric rise. We were on the cusp of hitting the $500 million valuation mark, a milestone that felt like a silent, powerful retort to every doubt and sacrifice. Our success was undeniable, largely due to our proprietary AI models and, more importantly, the sheer dedication of our teams. The tech press called us a disruptor, an industry darling, while traditional marketing agencies scrambled to catch up. My sister, true to her nature, adapted quickly to the social dynamics during her interview process, effortlessly charming Sarah and the hiring managers. She had an innate ability to connect with people, to make them feel at ease. But the actual work of digital marketing, the meticulous data analysis, the understanding of complex algorithms, the strategic thinking required to truly optimize campaigns, that proved to be a struggle during the practical assessments. I saw glimpses of her frustration in her post-interview feedback, noting where she struggled with the technical aspects of the role. It was a stark contrast to the effortless grace she displayed in her online persona, but a telling indicator of her capabilities. Then came the final interview, a technical assessment and a presentation to a small panel of senior managers, including Dr. Sharma. I wasn't on the panel, but I received real-time updates. Sophia's presentation, while visually appealing, lacked the data-driven depth we required. She spoke in broad strokes, focusing on synergy and brand narratives, without the analytical backing that was the hallmark of Insightful AI's success. As the feedback came in, it was clear. She was not a good fit for the marketing coordinator role. She lacked the fundamental technical skills and analytical mindset necessary to excel in our data-heavy environment. A few days later, Sarah came to my office. Alex, we've completed the interviews for the marketing coordinator position. Sophia Thorne was a pleasant candidate, very personable, but her technical skills and understanding of data analytics are not what we're looking for. We've decided to move forward with another candidate. She paused, knowing the unasked question. I'll handle the rejection call. I nodded, my expression unreadable. It was the outcome I expected, yet there was a strange, hollow feeling. This wasn't about revenge. It was about the simple, brutal truth of competence. But the thought of Sophia's reaction, of my parents' reaction, was a lingering dread. The circle was about to close, the culmination of years of quiet effort and unspoken resentment finally coming to a head. The family I had distanced myself from to build this company was now knocking at its door, and I had to decide whether to let them in or to let the truth finally shatter the facade. The rejection call Sarah made to Sophia, though standard in its professionalism, sent ripples through our meticulously maintained family facade. I received a frantic text from my mother less than an hour later. Alex, what happened? Sophia is devastated. She said your company rejected her. She was so excited about this opportunity. My father's call followed shortly after, his voice carrying an uncharacteristic edge of bewilderment. Son, I thought you would look out for family. She's your sister. The indignation in their voices was palpable, completely disregarding Sophia's qualifications or the company's rigorous hiring standards. To them, my company was merely an extension of the family, a place where favoritism should supersede merit. Kept my responses brief and factual, reiterating that our hiring process was objective and based purely on qualifications. Mom, Dad, Insightful AI hires the best talent based on merit. Sophia wasn't the right fit for that specific role. It's a highly technical position. Their replies, however, were not about the technicalities. They were about perceived obligation, about family ties, about the unspoken understanding that I was meant to smooth Sophia's path, just as mine had been smoothed for her wedding. The phone calls, the subtle pressures began to intensify, creating a low hum of tension in the background of my otherwise successful life. Meanwhile, Sophia herself didn't contact me directly for several days. I saw her social media posts, usually vibrant and effusive, become strangely muted. There were vague, melancholic captions about closed doors and unexpected detours, hinting at her disappointment without ever directly addressing the rejection. It was clear she was hurt, perhaps more by the impersonal nature of the process than the actual outcome. Then came the unexpected proposition. A week after her rejection, Sarah walked into my office with a thoughtful expression. Alex, Sophia, called me. She was disappointed, but she actually had a surprising amount of insight into how our general marketing strategy could be improved from a consumer engagement perspective. She's not technical, but she understands people. She suggested a temporary consultancy role, focusing on brand narrative and social media outreach, something more in line with her actual skills. Sarah handed me a brief proposal Sophia had drafted, surprisingly well-articulated, focusing on emotional connection and community building rather than data analytics. It was a clear demonstration of Sophia's strengths, recognizing her own limitations while highlighting a genuine need for the company. I stared at the proposal, a complex mixture of skepticism and curiosity warring within me. This wasn't about giving Sophia a handout. It was about recognizing a potential gap in our otherwise data-driven approach. Our AI was brilliant at targeting, but our human connection, our brand's personality, sometimes felt sterile. Sophia, with her innate charisma and understanding of online communities, could actually fill that void. It was a risky move, fraught with potential family drama, but the business opportunity was undeniable. I decided to meet with Sophia myself, not as her brother, but as the CEO. We met in a neutral coffee shop, far from the prying eyes of the office. She looked nervous but determined. Alex, she began, her voice steady, I know I wasn't right for that marketing role. My skills are different. But I genuinely believe I can help insightful AI connect with its audience on a more human level. Your tech is phenomenal, but sometimes the message feels cold. I can bring the warmth, the story. I can build community. I listened, assessing her sincerity. This isn't a guaranteed position, Sophia, I stated, my tone firm. It's a 3-month trial consultancy. Deliver results and we'll talk. Fail, and we move on. There will be no special treatment, and my parents' opinions will have zero bearing on your performance or your future here. Are we clear? She met my gaze, a flicker of her old fire returning. Crystal clear, Alex. Just give me the chance. And so, Sophia Thorne, the sister whose wedding had consumed my college fund, began her trial consultancy at Insightful AI. She was given a modest office, a clear mandate, and the same expectations as any other contractor. I watched, a silent, apprehensive observer, as she navigated the unfamiliar world of a high-tech startup. Her initial interactions with the highly analytical staff were awkward. She spoke a different language, one of emotions and aesthetics, while they spoke in data, points and algorithms. But slowly, subtly, she began to find her footing, charming colleagues, initiating new ways of communicating, and, to my cautious surprise, demonstrating a genuine, if unconventional, talent for connecting our cutting-edge technology with the human element of our clients' target audiences. The walls I had built around myself, the silent resentment I had carried for years, were still there. But a tiny crack was beginning to form, allowing in a sliver of unexpected light. Sophia's trial consultancy proved to be a surprisingly effective experiment. While she still wasn't diving deep into our AI algorithms or optimizing SQL queries, her innate understanding of people and brand storytelling filled a significant gap in Insightful AI's outward-facing presence. She launched a series of engaging case study videos, transforming dry data into compelling narratives that resonated with potential clients. Her social media campaign for our company, a clever blend of industry insights and relatable human stories, significantly increased our engagement metrics and even attracted a more diverse talent pool. She seemed to thrive in this more fluid, creative role, demonstrating a natural talent for making complex technology feel accessible and human. I observed her with a new lens. She was no longer just the spoiled sister. She was a competent professional, someone who, despite our vastly different skill sets, genuinely contributed to the company's success. The old bitterness about the college fund hadn't entirely vanished, but it was now tempered by a grudging respect for her work ethic and an unexpected appreciation for her unique contributions. She was, in her own way, proving her worth, not with a lavish wedding, but with tangible results. Meanwhile, Insightful AI officially hit the $500 million valuation mark. It was a monumental achievement, a quiet victory for every late night, every rejected loan application, every moment of self-doubt. The press called us a unicorn, an overnight sensation, oblivious to the decade of silent, relentless work that had gone into building it. My parents, still somewhat bewildered by the scale of my success, would proudly tell their friends about Alex's tech company and Sophia's amazing marketing projects without ever quite connecting the dots of how it all came to be. They saw the visible, glittering surface of our success, not the deep, hidden currents that flowed beneath. Then came the unexpected challenge. A major competitor, a much older, established firm, launched a new marketing campaign that directly targeted our client base. Their approach was aggressive, leaning on their long-standing reputation and a heavily funded traditional advertising blitz. While our AI was more effective at targeting, their brand messaging was hitting home emotionally, leveraging a sense of trust and legacy that our newer, more innovative image sometimes lacked. It was a battle not of algorithms, but of perception and connection, an area where Sophia's skills could be invaluable. I called Sophia into my office. She looked surprised, clearly expecting to discuss her contract extension. "Sophia," I began, gesturing to the competitor's ad campaign projected on my screen. "We have a problem. Our analytics tell us their campaign is working, not because their tech is better, but because they're telling a better story. They're making people feel something." I looked at her directly. "This is where you come in. I need you to lead a counter-campaign, something that highlights our humanity, our dedication, the why behind our algorithms, something that connects with people on an emotional level." She blinked, absorbing the magnitude of the request. This wasn't a small consultancy task. It was a high-stakes, critical project. "Are you serious, Alex?" she asked, a flicker of excitement, mixed with surprise in her eyes. "You want me to lead this?" "I am," I confirmed. "You understand human connection in a way no one else here does. You understand narrative. Our tech is our brain. You can be our heart. This isn't just about data anymore. It's about winning hearts and minds." She nodded slowly, a determined glint in her eye. "Okay, Alex, I'm in. But I need resources. And I need full creative freedom." "You'll have them," I promised. "But know this. If this works, it changes everything. Not just for the company, but for you." As Sophia walked out, a new kind of energy seemed to crackle around her. She immediately assembled a small, cross-functional team, drawing in designers, content creators, and even some of our more creatively inclined engineers. She held brainstorming sessions that were unlike any I had ever seen at Insightful AI, focusing on emotions, stories, and evocative imagery rather than cold, hard data. She even managed to get me, the CEO, to record a short personal message about our company's founding principles, something I would have scoffed at just a few months prior. Her counter-campaign, launched with a daring swiftness, was a masterclass in emotional marketing. It wasn't flashy or aggressive. It was authentic, heartfelt, and deeply human. It showcased the real people behind our powerful AI, the dedication of our employees, and the genuine passion we had for helping businesses grow. The impact was almost immediate. Our competitor's campaign, while still running, started to lose traction. Our engagement numbers soared, and inquiries from new clients specifically referenced our authentic message and relatable brand. Sophia had delivered. She had not only proven her worth, but she had done so in a way that perfectly complemented my own technical strengths, proving that sometimes the greatest assets come from the most unexpected places. The old resentment about the college fund still flickered, a faint ember in the corner of my mind, but it was now overshadowed by a profound sense of shared accomplishment and, perhaps, the beginnings of a true partnership. The sibling who had unknowingly cost me my college fund was now actively helping me secure the future of my company. The success of Sophia's counter-campaign and her unexpected knack for connecting with our audience changed everything, not just for insightful AI, but for our dynamic. I saw her not as the sister who'd spent my college fund, but as a genuine asset, a missing piece in the puzzle of my company's success. The board, initially skeptical of her unconventional approach, was now effusive in their praise. Even Ms. Hayes, my shrewd initial investor, gave a rare, approving nod. "She has a way with people, Alex," she'd conceded during a board meeting. "It's not what we expected, but it works." Sophia, for her part, thrived under the recognition. Her confidence, which had been chipped away by years of failed ventures, visibly soared. She became more integrated into the senior team, attending strategy meetings and offering insights that, while sometimes unscientific, often resonated with a profound, intuitive understanding of human behavior. Her social media presence, once a personal indulgence, became a powerful tool for insightful AI, attracting not just clients, but also a new generation of talent who valued our company's unique blend of cutting-edge tech and authentic brand storytelling. However, the deep-seated resentment about the college fund remained, a ghost in the machine of our newfound professional harmony. It was an unspoken tension, a silent barrier between us that neither of us dared to address directly. My parents, delighted by Sophia's success at my company, continued to be oblivious, praising her natural talent and my generosity for giving her a chance. They still didn't grasp the true scale of my sacrifice or the decade of relentless work that had built insightful AI. The direct confrontation finally arrived, not in my office, but during a rare family dinner. My parents were celebrating Sophia's latest achievement, a glowing article in a prominent marketing magazine that highlighted her innovative campaigns for insightful AI. The conversation revolved entirely around her, their adoring gazes fixed on Sophia, while I, the architect of the multi-million-dollar company, was barely acknowledged. "Sophia, darling, you're just a natural," my mother gushed, refilling her wine glass. "Just like your wedding. It was all so effortless and beautiful." My father nodded, beaming. "Yes, Sophia, you always were the one with the sparkle. Alex, on the other hand, always preferred his books." He chuckled, a dismissive sound that hit a raw nerve. A familiar bitterness coiled in my stomach. I looked at Sophia, who suddenly seemed to shrink under her parents' praise, a flicker of discomfort in her eyes. She knew then the underlying truth of my silence. The constant, unearned praise for her contrasted with the casual dismissal of my monumental effort had been a recurring theme of our lives. "Effortless?" I finally said, my voice dangerously calm. "Is that what you call it, Mom? Because I remember a lot of effort going into that wedding. My effort, specifically." My mother's smile faltered. "Alex, what are you talking about? It was a beautiful day. A family effort." "A family effort funded by my college fund, if you recall," I stated, my gaze fixed on my parents. "The money that was meant to pay for my education, the one I had to work 3 jobs and take out loans for, while Sophia got her fairytale wedding. That was a family effort too, wasn't it? Just one that only involved my contribution and my sacrifice." The room fell silent. Sophia, who had gone pale, finally spoke. "Alex, what are you saying? My college fund. That was separate, wasn't it?" My father cleared his throat nervously. "Son, that's ancient history. We pooled resources. We did what was best for the family at the time." "Best for the family?" I countered, a decade of suppressed resentment finally breaking through. "Or best for Sophia? You poured every penny into her dream and then expected me to figure it out." Which I did, by the way. I built a $500 million company from nothing, while working 3 jobs and taking out loans, so you could have your sparkling daughter's effortless wedding. Sophia looked at me, her eyes wide with shock, then turned to our parents, a dawning realization in her expression. "Is that true, Mom? Did you use Alex's college fund for my wedding?" My mother sputtered, trying to deflect. "Darling, it was a long time ago. It was complicated. Alex, you're ruining this beautiful dinner." "No," I said, rising from the table, the anger a cold, clear force within me. "I'm revealing the truth about who paid for the fairy tale, and the truth about who always had to pay the price. You celebrate Sophia's talent now, but where was that support when I was actually building something real? In the shadows. Because you took away my foundation." Sophia finally looked back at me, tears welling in her eyes. A complex mixture of shame, hurt, and profound realization. In that moment, the carefully constructed facade of our family and the quiet resentment I had carried for so long finally shattered. The dinner ended abruptly, leaving a chasm of silence where forced pleasantries once resided. My mother burst into tears, retreating to her room. My father, flustered and uncharacteristically quiet, made a few weak attempts to mediate, but the words had been said. The truth finally laid bare. Sophia, however, didn't follow our parents. She stayed, her face a mixture of shock and dawning comprehension. "Is it really true, Alex?" she asked again, her voice barely a whisper, as my parents' bedroom door clicked shut. "My wedding? It was your college fund?" I nodded, tired but resolute. "Every penny of it, and more, over the years. I took out loans, worked every shift I could get. That's why I built insightful AI the way I did. I had no other choice." I laid out the details, not with anger, but with a weary clarity. The tuition bills, the late-night shifts, the sacrifices that had shaped my entire adult life, all while she was living a life of apparent ease, blissfully unaware of the foundation on which it rested. Sophia listened, her face transforming from shock to a deep, heartbreaking sorrow. Tears welled in her eyes, not of anger, but of a profound, belated understanding. I had no idea," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Mom and Dad always just said it was pooled resources, that you were so smart you'd figure it out. I never questioned it. I just believed them. I was so wrapped up in my own world, in my dreams. I never saw what you were going through." It was the first genuine apology I'd ever heard from her, and it hit me with an unexpected force. The years of resentment, the silent anger, began to dissipate, replaced by a raw, painful honesty. We talked late into the night, the barriers of a lifetime crumbling around us. She recounted her own struggles, the pressures of maintaining appearances, the quiet desperation behind her passion projects, and the mounting debt she and her husband had accumulated. She admitted to moments of jealousy over my quiet success, never understanding the sheer effort behind it. And I, in turn, acknowledged the burden of her parents' expectations, the pressure to always be the sparkling one. The next morning, the fallout was inevitable. My mother refused to speak to me, and our father, caught in the middle, looked utterly defeated. But something fundamental had shifted between Sophia and me. The dynamic of the favored child and the overlooked one had shattered, replaced by a fragile but real understanding. Sophia's transformation at Insightful AI became even more pronounced. No longer just a consultant, she actively sought to understand the financial and operational intricacies of the company. She began to ask sharp, insightful questions in meetings, often from a perspective that challenged the analytical norm, but always aimed at improving the whole. She started to advocate for fairer internal structures, pushing for mentorship programs and better support for junior employees, driven by a newfound empathy for the hidden struggles within a company. She helped cultivate a culture where transparency and recognition were paramount, ensuring no one else felt overlooked or unvalued for their contributions. The real test came a few months later when a significant client, impressed by Sophia's recent branding work, offered her a lucrative role at their own marketing firm. It was a substantial offer, a chance for her to step out of my shadow and build her own name. She came to me, the offer in hand, her face unreadable. "Have this offer, Alex," she said, placing the document on my desk. "It's good. Really good. My own team. Full creative control." I looked at the offer, then at her. "It's a great opportunity, Sophia. You've earned it." She hesitated, then pushed the document back. "But this place, what we're doing here, it feels different. It feels real. And I feel like I'm finally part of something that matters, not just to me, but to a team, to a family." She looked me in the eye. "I want to stay. If you'll have me, not as a consultant, but as a full-time integrated leader, I want to help build this with you properly, from the ground up this time." My heart swelled with an unexpected warmth. This wasn't about obligation, it was about choice. "We'd be lucky to have you, Sophia," I said, a genuine smile spreading across my face. "Welcome to the team." Truly. The integration was smooth. Sophia became our head of brand and community engagement, a vital, purpose-built role that leveraged her unique strengths. She reported directly to me, not as a sibling, but as a trusted executive. Our parents, still navigating the awkward truths, saw a new bond forming between their children. A powerful, unspoken alliance built on a foundation of shared history and mutual respect. The bitter irony of my college fund became, not a weapon, but a shared scar, a testament to the difficult path we had both walked and the unexpected partnership we had forged from its ashes. The years that followed were, in many ways, the most fulfilling. Insightful AI continued its ascent, surpassing the $750 million valuation mark, then pushing towards $1 billion. Our success was no longer just about algorithms. It was about the synergy between cutting-edge technology and genuine human connection. I focused on strategic growth and technological innovation, while Sophia, as our head of brand and community engagement, cultivated a vibrant company culture and an authentic brand voice that set us apart in a highly competitive market. We became known not just for our AI, but for our people, our values, and the stories we told. My relationship with Sophia blossomed into a true partnership. We often found ourselves in my office late into the evening, hashing out strategies, debating ideas, or simply sharing a quiet moment as the city lights twinkled outside. The bitter resentment about the college fund had faded, replaced by a deep-seated respect and an unbreakable bond forged in the crucible of shared challenges and mutual effort. We learned to anticipate each other's strengths, complementing one another in ways neither of us could have imagined. She was the intuitive heart, I was the analytical mind, and together, we created something far greater than either of us could have built alone. Our parents, now fully aware of the scale of insightful AI and our intertwined roles, found a new sense of pride. My father, Arthur, began referring to our company as the family business, a phrase that once would have stung with irony, but now felt strangely comforting. He'd proudly show off our latest articles to his friends, often weaving in stories of Sophia's marketing brilliance and my quiet tenacity. My mother, Eleanor, surprisingly, found joy in the details of our company's community initiatives, often volunteering for our charitable partnerships, applying her organizational skills to events that connected insightful AI with the local community. The fractured family dynamics of my youth had, against all odds, begun to heal, albeit imperfectly. The true culmination came during Insightful AI's 10th anniversary celebration. The event was held in a massive convention hall filled with employees, investors, and clients from around the globe. My parents were there, beaming from the front row. And as I took the stage to address the crowd, I saw Sophia standing at the side, a proud, supportive smile on her face. 10 years ago, I began, my voice ringing with a mix of emotion and gratitude. Insightful AI started with a single line of code and a mountain of student debt. It was built on the belief that technology could be more than just powerful. It could be personal. And it was built by a relentless drive to prove that sometimes, when life takes away your foundation, you build a stronger one yourself. The crowd applauded, but my gaze found Sophia's. But building something this vast, this impactful, I continued, requires more than just algorithms and ambition. It requires heart, empathy, and the ability to connect. And for that, I owe an immense debt of gratitude to my sister, Sophia. I gestured for her to join me on stage. She walked forward, her confidence radiating, accepting the thunderous applause. Sophia, I said, turning to her, you joined this company not knowing the full story of its origins or the personal cost involved, but you brought a vision that transformed our brand, that humanized our technology, and that showed us the true power of connection. You are the soul of Insightful AI. She looked at me, her eyes shining with unshed tears, and gave me a genuine, heartfelt hug, something we hadn't shared in years. Thank you, Alex, she whispered, for giving me a chance, for showing me that real success isn't just about what you achieve, but who you become and who you build it with. Looking back on our journey from a divided family to a thriving partnership, from a college fund sacrifice to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, I realized that sometimes the greatest gifts are disguised as the deepest betrayals. The loss of that college fund had forced me to forge my own path, to cultivate a resilience I never knew I possessed. And in doing so, it led me to build not just a company, but an unexpected and incredibly strong bond with the very sister who had once, unknowingly, cost me everything. Our story became a testament to the fact that while blood ties can be complicated, true family is ultimately about choice, understanding, and building something meaningful together, even if it started with a painful, yet ultimately transformative sacrifice. What challenges have you faced that, in hindsight, turned out to be blessings in disguise? How have you navigated complex family dynamics in your own life? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with others who might be navigating their own journeys of self-discovery, resilience, and unexpected connections.